Okay, we've now got sound. So, sorry about that. As I was saying, welcome back to another live stream repair. We've got a whopping 10 HomePods here that need to get fixed up. We're mixing things up just a little bit. Instead of having an order of who's going when, we're going to just pick a random box from the pile, with one exception. Mayushi here sent in a gift to us from Amazon, and it is Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. So thank you very much for this. We're going to have a good time reading this to our kid. This is actually one of my favorite out of the Harry Potter series, so this actually holds a bit of a place in my childhood. It was one of the only things that my mom didn't let us watch like a whole lot of things or get into a whole lot of like weird stuff like magic and Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon and anime and a lot of that stuff. She was kind of strict in that way. But one exception that she had was Harry Potter. And she actually took us to see the Sorcerer's Stone. And that was pretty cool. So thank you for that. Thank you. So we're actually going to start with Mayushi here. And they have no power. Let's get them up on the screen. Open sesame. Alright, and then we got a little note in here. It probably says, oh, this is sick. Okay, we can show this on the stream. Thank you very much for taking a look at my HomePod. Like I said, it doesn't power on. I really like your channel. Look forward to watching your repair. Mayushi. Yay, typewriter go brr. That is cool. That is really cool. We're gonna keep that. I actually keep all of the notes that people send in with their HomePods, even if it's just their contact info or whatever, just for sentimental and tracking reasons. Keep all of that. But this one we might put in a special spot. And you have the cable unplugged and all coiled in there nice. Goodness, you were just making this too easy for me. First things first, as always, we are going to start by checking our symptoms with a known good power cable. We have no response, and yet it pulls 6 watts of power from the wall. This is a kilowatt meter. It's a pretty cheap and simple device that allows you to measure how much power a typical receptacle is pulling, and it just sits right in between whatever it is you're plugging into and your wall. It measures a whole bunch of things, not just watts. It goes volts, amps, watts, volts, amps, hertz, and a whole bunch of other stuff. Honestly, I'm not too familiar with all the rest of the functions, but we typically use watts here. And this one's pulling 6 watts. So if it was pulling 0 watts, that would likely be a blown fuse, which we don't see very often. If it was pulling 1 to 2 watts of power, there's more likely a problem with the logic board or display. And then if it was pulling 3 to 6 watts, that's the most common failure mode, and what you're probably going to see often here tonight which is that diode on the amplifier board going bad and preventing things from powering on. So let's take this apart and find out for sure what's going on. And I get asked a lot, why does the diode fail, and does the replacement, or will the replacement have the same problem? And the answer to the first question will answer your second question. The reason why those diodes fail is what seems to be, based on the number of HomePods we've gotten here and how many of them have which diode in them, there seems to be a bad batch of these diodes going around. And we can tell by looking at the date code on the diode. We've seen them go from as early as 1732K all the way up to 1752K. We see all date codes between those ranges. The first two numbers are the year, and the last two numbers are the week of the year. So these were diodes made in 2017. The ones that we see fail consistently, and we haven't seen anything break this rule yet, are diodes with date codes 1746K and 1748K. And again, we see diodes with all sorts of different date codes in these, much newer and much older. And we haven't seen any of those other ones fail. And we're looking at around at least 400 to 500 diodes in our parts tray here that we've pulled from every HomePod that comes in and gets repairs from us. We replace that diode regardless of the date code it has, and regardless of whether it's still working or not. That kind of gives us an idea. It kind of gives us a few things. Failing anything else, it tells us roughly how many HomePods we've actually fixed. It tells us sorry, this sticky is very distracting. It kind of gives us an idea of the failure rate. We can kind of take guesses from it. We don't really know without knowing how many were actually put out there in production, because we could be getting skewed. We could be seeing skewed results here, just basing it off the parts that we're pulling out, because people typically only, of course, send them in when there's a problem. That doesn't go without saying, I've also opened a few of my own that haven't had any problems, just out of curiosity, and they don't appear any different. Some of them still have those fatal diodes, little ticking time bombs just waiting to fail. Others have other diodes with other date codes, but otherwise they're all pretty much the same. Okay, so here's a little trick that one of our watchers, Anthony, showed us. If you drip a little rubbing alcohol around the inner perimeter of the basket, when you go to pry it off, it will be much easier. You don't need too much, you just need enough to get it to seep in a little bit to the adhesive that holds this upper layer down. And you want to get to it before the alcohol dries out, of course. But we will let that sit for a minute while we work on the screws for this, and then we'll pry this off. Well, pry. Really, well, with the rubbing alcohol trick here, you can pretty much pull it off by hand. Let's close that up and put it out of the way, because every time I don't do that, I spill it 10 seconds later. You hear how the white HomePods leave a ring on wood. Any reason as to why that is? I heard about that with the first generation, and I heard that apparently the second generation has the same problem. I'm abusive with a lot of my stuff, so personally I don't care if it leaves stains on anything that I typically put them on. Not really sure why that happens. Honestly, the simplest explanation is just the fact that the material that makes up the base of the HomePod that sits on the surface you've got it on is softer than the surface that it's placed on. And ultimately that means that it's going to rub off on that surface. So if you had something that sat in between said surface and said base to kind of buffer that, or at least just it either needs to be softer on one side than the base of the pod and harder on the other side than the surface it's sitting on, or it just needs to be the sacrificial piece that gets stained by having your pod sitting around on top of it. I actually, where's my airports? Where's an airport? Oh. A lot of my HomePods I have sitting around the house on top of my Airport Express V2s. And a lot of these I have plugged into Apple Hi-Fi speakers to give them AirPlay 2 support. I've got one actually plugged into my home theater subwoofer too, so that way if I'm really feeling it. But it pretty much boils down to the hardness of the base of the HomePod is softer than the hardness of the surface you're sitting it on, so it's going to rub off and deposit its materials onto your surface. And I think that might just, well, they could, like, they're probably going to say something like, oh, it's that way because of the way that the acoustics have to, like, isolate themselves from the surface it sits on or something like that. But then just have the rubber base coated in some other exterior plastic that's harder. Come on. Come on. It's not like they're getting super hot at the base. The only thing down there is a bunch of tweeters, and heat rises. So naturally, the base of the HomePod is actually going to be the coolest spot in the whole thing. When you think about that, why didn't they put the logic board down there? Keep itself cool, unless perhaps having it above the subwoofer and the subwoofer moving around, moving that air past the logic board gives it enough active cooling to that would be better than stuffing it at the bottom. Who knows? Apple knows. Oh, I would love to, like, speak to somebody that worked on the team that engineered and designed like the first generation HomePod. That would be cool. We'd learn so much. We can keep you anonymous. Hit me up. Maybe leak a little firmware. I'm kidding, don't do that, it's illegal. I lost my my plastic hook. Uh-oh, why is the stream fluctuating? Let me see. I'm gonna stop and start it really quick and see if that helps it. Okay, that should be better. It looks better for now. It's weird. I know it's nothing wrong with anything here, I suppose, because if I stop and start the stream again, it stops dropping frames. So we'll progress for now. If I see it dropping a bunch again, then we'll just stop and start the stream briefly and carry on. As I was saying, I lost my plastic hook that I used to pry the power supply up when we were tearing apart the USB-C serial remote during the last live stream. So now I basically just have to suffer and just carefully pull it up straight with my hands here. I gotta find it. That thing, a whole bunch of things just flew off the desk. We have arrived inside. Let's get up close and we can see our diode here. Yet again follows our rule, has a date code of 1746K on it. So I betcha with our multimeter in diode or continuity test mode, this will be bad. Yes, it is. So, first no power repair of the day, pretty straightforward. Let's get that diode replaced. We'll give a little tappity tap tap. Little taps. So you see it's oozing out. And we can just carefully push it straight down and off the board. If you're doing this yourself, be sure to verify that the diode itself is the source of the short and not something else still shorting out on the board. I'll go ahead and show you that really quick here. No more short. So, let's put a fresh new diode on here, starting with our Chip Quick NC191 Flex. And then our It Doesn't Matter solder to tin the new diode. Makes it nice and quality, solid connection on our board. Give the board a little flux too. And here we go. Hey, welcome to the chat. That is good to hear. And now we let it cool down. I just air dry it like this here, and just long enough until I see my hot air station here turn off from its cool down cycle. Once it's done that, I feel like this is cool enough and it's not too hot, so. We're putting our parts on here that will allow us to power this amplifier on, along with verifying that it produces sound without a problem. So here we go. We've got power. And we don't have any bass, no sound. So let me clean the connections on here really quick. After going through so many repairs and testing, these cables tend to accrue a lot of goo. I think I know what your question is. But go ahead and shoot. Let's try that again. And like magic, we've got our base. And with only one millivolt of offset, So this is ready to put back together. Let's get our test parts off. Get the pod back. Amp installed and secured. Logic board cable for amp locked in. Power supply plugged and secured. Skipping ahead. Let's get this on there. almost there. We've got the display put on. We've just got to cover it up, and then we can see how this works. Make sure the volume buttons aren't obstructed by any goo. Looks lined up. That's all we do is just lay it down by eye. And then smush it down. You don't want to push down on it too hard because you'll crack or break something. But a firm press will do. And we've got power. Give that a second to boot up. Okay. What do we have?
I'm having trouble connecting to the I'm having trouble.
There we go. Mayushi, you are good to go. We will leave that plugged into power overnight to verify it doesn't have any outstanding issues. And who should we pick on next? Let's pick Donovan. Donovan's got some death farts. That's always a fun one. Alright, which, let's see. We need to update the text on our screen, first of all. Defeth. No, you know what? It's not death farts. Is it A-N-C-E? It's E-N-C-E. I'm a funny guy. Alright. Reset our progress. Open the box. Alright. No surprises. Wanted to make sure nothing was going to jump out at me. You never know. You never know with people these days. Okay, stuffs are set aside. We shall now check our symptoms. Hello, Rich. Welcome to the chat. All right. It sounds, doesn't sound too loud, but this is why the popping alone isn't always going to be a guaranteed indicator as to whether or not you have issues or not. This is why my general rule of thumb is not to worry about the popping unless you have other issues accompanying it. Because if you didn't see our YouTube short, even the brand new second generation Apple HomePods have a tiny little bit of pop as they turn on or off. So seems to just be a bit of an unavoidable thing with these things, and if Apple kept the behavior in the second generation, then even they don't think that it's a problem. So we're going to take this apart. We're going to get it connected to our subwoofer, which is connected to our multimeter, and we are going to see how much DC offset this amplifier is generating. If it's actually got death farts, or as we're calling it up there, fatal flatulence, we're expecting to see at least more than 50 millivolts, but also that it's growing, because the death farts is a behavior programmed into the amplifier when it detects somewhere around 3 to 6 volts of DC being pumped out by the amp into the speakers. It's a bit of a built-in protection mode, so it'll emit that fart or that loud burp or buzzing tone, and then force a restart in an attempt to kind of save itself and let the user know, hey, something's wrong. So let's take this apart and do some diagnosis and see if we can figure out if there's a problem and what needs to be fixed. That's electric screwdriver speak. It was getting grumpy. I told it better do its job or it's sleeping outside tonight. Not bad, not bad. Very nice. We shall apply the secret sauce that will allow even old grandmama to open up one of these. Thank you again, Mayushi. easy. Just a little bit of rubbing alcohol around that inner part right here before you go to pry that basket off will make a world of difference. Thank you again, Anthony, for the tip. And you'll no longer leave any pry marks on your subwoofer. If you pry up against the screws, you won't end up bending the screws either. Alright, time to check the woofer. If we peek inside of there, we can see the voice coil and it looks good and healthy. Feels nice and smooth. And it smells great. Smells like a good little subwoofer. Always smell your subwoofers. Never not. Because if it smells bad, it's gotta go. You can go plug it into the wall and have a fun 5 seconds with it if it lasts that long. But do not put it back together with that roasted woofer. No one likes roasted nuts, and no one likes roasted woofers. We should send a HomePod to that channel that microwaves everything. I wonder if they even still do that. They probably don't. That had to be like 10, 15 years ago by now. As the HomePod is damaged by the update, is it enough to move the motherboard from one to another? Or some other parts? It should be fine. Yeah, I mean, you would just have to try that out and see. I don't believe based on our experience here, that if that were the case and you were swapping parts around to eliminate which part is causing the issue, and if that's the only part with an issue, swapping them around isn't going to start damaging the other ones. If you're dealing with an issue with the updates causing that issue in particular. I think I've got a couple of those myself. Okay. So we're going to pop some parts on here real fast so that we can power it on. And see how much DC offset this amp has. Get our multimeter turned on. Got some wubbage. Ooh, 250 millivolts quickly rising. So that looks like it would, in fact, grow to a point where it would cause death farts. That's a sign that our filters on the back of this amp have gone bad. So let's get our filters replaced first. And then we're going to replace that Schottky barrier diode that we always talk about as a preventative measure for no power. And then we will confirm the issue is gone with our multimeter again. Get up close, nice and focused. Don't try this. One at a time. Unless you're feeling lucky. If you want to know what part number or specs or specifications of the replacement capacitors to use, you can head over to my website, nixfix.com, and then the common issues section where we've got a death farts or loud popping section with the details of these replacement capacitors, along with details of most of the repairs that you see here on the channel. If you do your own repairs, feel free to reach out to me if you want to be put up on the website as somebody that offers repairs for HomePods. And we'll get you added there. We've got a handful of people around the world now, and we're always looking for more. If you happen to find a way to repair an issue that's not on the website, feel free to let me know, and we will add it to the website and give you credit for it as well. Of course. Some fresh filters on there, nice and square, or nice and rectangle. Let's get a new diode on there. For those curious, it has a date code of 1736K. A little older than what normally fails, but we're going to replace it anyways. It might be time for my new tube. Where did I put my new tube? Fresh. on there. We want to put the plunger in first. Stop. Not gonna stop. Can't stop, won't stop. Very nice. It is time. Very good. Give this a chance to cool off and we will check our work. Oh, my arm's gonna get tired after tonight. I did see iFixit mention me. I had a moment. Immediately told the wife. Immediately told the baby. Bragged about it here and there on social media. Replied on, or left a comment on their video, and they replied to me. They noticed me. Yeah, who'd have thought? 8 or 10 years ago, Nature Valley was noticing us on Twitter, and now iFixit's noticing us on YouTube. Good stuff. We still got our base, and our offset's looking fresh at 2 millivolts. So this is ready to get put back together. Listen, I don't remember what I said, but it is no laughing matter. Oh, I almost forgot to mention. I have our first giveaway our first giveaway stream scheduled for this Sunday at 10 a.m. Pacific time. It appears to be a fairly friendly time for quite a lot of people. We will have more giveaways, of course, in the near future at different times. But if you head over to my channel and you go over to I think there's like a live tab, you'll see the stream scheduled for Sunday, 10 a.m. There's details in the description, and if you have any questions aside from that, you're welcome to ask. Did you learn how to do electronics in school, or did you teach yourself? I entirely taught myself. A lot of YouTube, a lot of Google, a lot of broken stuff along the way. I would still really like to go to school for some sort of electronics engineering. Get a deeper understanding of how the HomePod works, how we can potentially hack it, make these last longer, make them more open. I'm sure I could learn how to, I could learn all of what I would need to know how to figure all of that out. online, but there's also something that you get out of in-person hands-on education that I'm sure you're missing out on. It may seem like I know a lot, but I really don't. I know a lot about HomePods. Oh, catastrophe. Okay, let's just make sure this still powers on and works like at least before. And then, like everyone, we will leave it plugged into power overnight to make sure it still doesn't have any issues.
I'm having trouble connecting to the internet.
Very good.
I'm having trouble.
Alright, everything checks out. Let's put Donovan away. And let's grab another random one from the pile. The rest of them up tonight, I believe, are all going to be no power. Let's see. Let's get with Blake. Oh, that's a grumpy baby. Oh, poor thing. I'm gonna close my door in a sec if she doesn't calm down. Usually she only lets a few out and then she's okay. What even are these noises? Okay. Oh, that was probably already undone. Checking our symptoms. Oh, we've got power. Let me double check my email with Blake here. Maybe I just blasted through and misread it. Let's see. Oh yeah, no. Okay. No, I think that he's got death farts. That's right. That's right.
I'm having trouble connecting.
Actually, I don't hear any popping either. So let's just read their email really quick out loud. Hi Nick, I came across your info on Mac Rumors and iFixit and felt it would be worthwhile to reach out, see if my HomePod can be fixed. It's been unresponsive since fall 2020. The issue first occurred after an update to OS 14.x. I think the HomePod lost connection to Wi-Fi during an OTA update and that's where the issue started. I am able to restore the HomePod, it goes through the setup process, and I can set it up, and shows up in my Home app. But it gets stuck in a configure loop and will only play music or Siri response for 1 to 5 minutes until it goes completely dead. I've had good success with playing at least one full song. Siri knows the weather. Never lasts more than the time described. After reading your site, when the unit goes dead, it typically does make a fart noise. Unplugging and restoring the unit will let me get it set up and responding, but that does not last long. So that does sound a bit like death fart behavior.
I'm having trouble.
But I just don't really hear anything. So what we're going to do with Blake's here is we're going to move on and we're going to leave his plugged into power in the background. And then we're going to check back in on it after it's had a while to warm up. Probably we'll leave it overnight and then we'll get to it during tomorrow's stream. Let's put a note on it so we don't forget whose this is. That'll do. It might be death farts. It might be the usual bad caps that we just replaced on the previous repair. But I do wanna make sure before we spend time on it that we know for sure what issue we're trying to tackle here. And we're not trying to rush people's repairs. We do want to make sure we do this the right way. And we do it the right way the first time. We don't want to have to be shipping things back and forth and wasting people's time and my money. Who's this? This is Frederick. And Frederick should actually have no power. Let's see. I have the same problem. My HP doesn't connect to Wi-Fi. And when connected, after 5 minutes it shuts down. Yeah, if it's making like a loud pop and then it restarts after a few minutes of working, it's either DC offset like those bad caps we replaced on the last repair, or it might be some other unknown issue with your amplifier. Or worst case, it could be an issue with your logic board. Unknown cause as well. So if you have spare parts to swap things around and see what you need to replace to get rid of the behavior, then that'll at least nail down what it is you need to try to troubleshoot. Here we go. Checking our symptoms. We don't see anything happening. And yet we've got 4 watts of power draw. So that looks like the typical no power failure with the bad diodes. Let's get it apart and see if that's the case. Uh-oh, baby not happy. That sounds like a hungry baby. No! Oh. All is well. Good thing we just cleaned our mat. Hey there, welcome to the stream. Sorry, I'm keeping the mic muted until the kid calms down. It'll take a minute. Hey, that's what I'm here for, and we'll be here for a while. Sorry about the mute there, just wanted to save you guys from the noise. Kid was very hungry. Okay. I wanted to move my stream deck over to where you guys can see it so you can watch when I'm not. Just like that. And now it's a little easier for me to reach too. Nice. So, let's see if this is working now. We'll get some parts on here to power it up. We'll see if it pumps or if it poofs. Let's see what it's got. Do you think it would be possible to do the repair without reflow heat? I've heard other people able to do it, but I wouldn't recommend it. It just seems like it's more difficult, obviously, but it seems a little riskier too. You can, and the hot air station that we've got here, this new Calox or whatever, it's like the cheapest $60 hot air rework station that you can get on Amazon, and it's been here with us for 400 or 500 repairs now, at least, if not that plus other projects, and it still works just fine. It even came with extra heating element. So when this heating element eventually dies from all the abuse, I can just swap it out with the one, the spare that it came with. So this has a pretty nasty offset creeping up. It's got 130 millivolts and it's still rising. That's more than the 50 millivolts that we like to see. So we're going to replace the filters on this before we put it back together, and then we will put it together. Anyways, with using a soldering iron to try to replace that diode, you need a really big tip, and you basically need to be able to transfer all of your heat into the diode and into the board, and that's a hell of a lot of power. So if you have a rinky-dinky little soldering iron, actually you might be able to, if you've got low melt solder, you might be able to flow a bunch of low melt solder onto these pins to make it a little easier too. But I mean, you're starting to spend money on different solders, and at that point, just get the hot air station. If you're working on stuff like this, get the hot air station. It's gonna open up a whole new world for you. That's what kicked off our whole repairs here. Is that hot air station. It's good stuff. Allows you to repair and replace things you couldn't dream of doing with a soldering iron. It's going to take me a while to get used to it being down here. If it's not a pain, you should add an Amazon affiliate link and super chat. I just applied for monetization. We just hit 1,000 subscribers, and it looks like it's going to take a few days for them to approve the AdSense account, and then potentially a few more days to review and approve my channel if it's approved. I'm going to be adding a section to my website for all of the tools, like purely just the tools and parts that I use. So you don't have to scroll through all the issues. You just, here's the parts, here's the tools, everything I use, everything I buy. This is it. Because it doesn't seem like the first generation is going anywhere anytime soon in terms of popularity. The more people feel and say that like they like the first generation sound more than the second generation. Looking good. Let's get this put back together, and then we'll do one last sanity check with everything assembled. And then I think we can probably squeeze out 2 or 3 more repairs tonight before we gotta split. Depends on how fast we can cruise through them. Please tell us how you repair the Wi-Fi issue, and you can save my life because I don't have a repair store in my country. So your issue is it sets up fine, but it'll eventually pop and restart, or is your issue it won't even complete setup? Because if it won't even complete setup, or like it's not even showing up, if it's not even showing up on your phone, then you got to replace the Wi-Fi chip itself. That is something that I'm not yet capable of doing. Something that I'm trying to do. I've got somebody's HomePod here that's been wonderfully patient with me, waiting for weeks for me to find the time to try to get good at replacing the Wi-Fi chips so we can give it a go on his. Because his seems to be an issue with the Wi-Fi chip because it never even shows up on your phone when you bring it near to set it up. It resets and it produces sound fine. Doesn't pop and restart. Yeah, that is interesting. It sounds a bit like just some sort of issue with your logic board. Unfortunately, not something that I think that I'd be able to repair. If you had another HomePod for parts, you could possibly take its logic board if it's still good and swap it. The parts aren't like serial locked or anything like that. Yeah, open it up, see if anything is obviously damaged. Look on the amplifier specifically and see if any of the components on the amplifier are damaged. Have you ever timed yourself while performing a burnt diode repair? The best time that we've done timed is 22 minutes. I think we did one under 20 minutes a few streams ago, but I wasn't keeping very close attention. I was just trying to get through the queue. Do I have any social media? I do. If you go to my website at the bottom right here, nixfix.com, at the very top, in the black bar at the very top, I've got all the places you can find me, like my YouTube channel, of course, my Discord server, Twitter, I think Reddit, and maybe something else. I can't even remember. What am I doing? I'm being a goofball. Aren't we putting this one back together? I am very easily distracted. Hola Deus, welcome to the stream, welcome to the chat, welcome to another HomePod repair. Did we fix this one? Yes, we did. What do we got?
Je ne parviens pas à me connecter à Internet. Pour en savoir plus,
Oh, that's
accédez à la
right.
maison.
I think that reminds me. I think we got one in from Italy today too. Yeah.
Je ne parviens.
All right. So Fred's got no issues present. It's always my pleasure to get these things going again for you guys. And to do it live here with you guys. Let's pick another random one here. Alright. Let's go with Justin. Justin also has no power. Let's update the text on our screen. And here we go. We start with a known working power cable to check our symptoms. We got no response, and we've got the typical 4 to 6 watts of power draw from the wall, indicating another diode failure on the amplifier. Let's get it apart and find out. subwoofer checks out. Always sniff those subs. What do we got? We've got a diode with a date code of 1746K. And it is also bad. So we are on a bad diode roll today. Let's get it replaced and see if this board will power on. Give this a chance to cool off and we'll see if it works. Here we go. We've got power. We've got good sound, and our offset says 4-ish millivolts. That looks fantastic. So let's put this back together. Ooh, fellow Nick, welcome. I see it is also correctly spelled. Okay, folks. A wave of tiredness has hit me, and I think this is going to be the last one that we're going to do here tonight. So let's... I'm talking slower. See if this turns on. I want to spend a little bit of time with my wife and the kid on this fine Friday evening. We've been spending so much time on these repairs recently, I haven't expected these many to show up. I was actually talking to her about having her help me out, handle the emails, and maybe even going through my live streams and editing them into shorter form content for more people to be able to watch.
I'm having trouble.
Kind of condense things into, trim out all the more repetitive parts of the live streams and condense things into the more interesting parts.
I'm having trouble.
All right. Well, we've got Justin's all fixed up and ready to go. I think that's all we're going to be able to get fixed up here today with the energy we've got left. If you have any questions about any of these repairs or HomePods in general, feel free to leave a comment. Also, check out the website, nixfix.com, where we've got a dedicated section for common issues and how you can repair them, and my contact info, so you can reach out to me if you want to send in parts of your pod or the whole thing in to get repaired here on the channel. Subscribe and keep an eye out. Sunday morning, we will be holding our giveaway of the custom first generation Apple HomePod. All you really need to do is be subscribed. Excuse me. There are some additional details in the description of that scheduled live stream, so you can find it on my channel. Otherwise, I will catch you guys tomorrow. Excuse me. I will catch you guys tomorrow morning when we come back to wrap up today's repairs. Hope you all enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next one.